everybody. So today I wanted to talk about the Z4 Coupe. This is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated cars that you can get today. They made the Coupe only for a couple years, mid-thousands. This is a 2007, and it's just so good. Simple as that. In short, you can pick them up now for under $20,000. I've found some for as low as $13,000 with about 150,000 miles. I've found some for like 80,000 with 80,000 miles for about $20,000. It's relatively affordable, especially if you compare that to buying something new today, like a BRZ. You're going to be spending closer to, I think, like $26,000 or $28,000. So I mean, if you just compare it to that alone, it's already a bit cheaper than that. In my opinion, it's much better than if you were to buy a newer sports car in that kind of price range today as well. This thing has got kind of some weird specs. It's 3,100 pounds, which for as small as it is kind of heavy. I mean, BRZ I think is going to be around 2,800 pounds if I remember correctly. The new Supra is 3,400 pounds. Now granted, this got about 150 more horsepower or 140 more horsepower than this, but still. The new Mustang is only about, I think, 500 pounds or 600 pounds or 400 pounds more than this, so it's not that much more, but you got a massively bigger motor. But this thing does not feel that heavy, which is kind of weird. It doesn't have that powerful of a motor. It's only got 255 horsepower, but again, for as heavy, for lack of a better term, as heavy as this car feels, with relatively not that much power, it feels so quick. Maybe if I can get around this car in a moment, I'll be able to show you what this car feels like. So this one specifically has about 154,000 miles on it right now. So it's got a decent amount of mileage on it. Oh, this guy's letting me over, thank you. Got a decent amount of mileage on it, and it still feels new. At really slow speeds, coming in and out of parking lots, whatever, you can hear some of the bushings squeaking a little bit. So it needs some new bushings. Not that big a deal, 150,000 miles. But other than that, it just feels solid. I don't really hear any not road noise, but like squeaking or rattling, anything just driving around. Don't really hear anything like that. If you get on it, it still feels like it has all the power that it had when it first came out. I'm sure it's lost some, all cars do over the years, but it still feels like it's got plenty of power. Alright, come on, Mercedes. Let me over. Will he get over for me right here? Looks like he's about to. He is. Awesome. Thank you, car. I love it when cars like this see somebody and they get over for them. To give you an idea what I mean about the power that it has. And I'm going uphill right now, too. And I'm not in sport mode. This car does have a sport mode, which, if I understand correctly, all it does is just kind of remap your throttle. Other than that, it doesn't really change any of the suspension or anything. But I'll show you what the sport mode sounds like once I get on a more straight section of the road. And the car just handles amazing. So this one specifically has the MCSL wheels. Other than that, nothing has been done to this. It's completely stock. Doesn't really need anything. Yeah, I've seen some people put superchargers on here, put wide bodies, lower them, so on and so on. They look great, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they handle amazing as well. But this car doesn't need it. As it sits, it's just great as is. If I remember correctly, after this turn, there is a straight. So I'm going to put it now in sport mode. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but it does kind of like pick up the RPMs a little bit just at idle. Or not at idle, but at cruising. That's what it feels and sounds like at sport mode. And again, I am going uphill. I don't want to push the car too much. This is not my car specifically, but there's an interesting story about this car nonetheless with me. So this is my dad's car, and when I wanted to start this YouTube channel, I wasn't really quite sure what car to do first. My car, I have a Mustang, nothing special, and I figured this would be a great car to start this channel with. And the interesting story with this is, my dad got this, I think, in 2011 or so, and he called me and said, hey, tomorrow morning I'm driving down to Palm Springs to pick up the car. Do you want to go? And I didn't have anything to do the next day, so I'm like, yeah, why not? So we actually ended up going that night. We left our place in the Bay Area probably about 8 o'clock at night, drove to Palm Springs, stayed at a hotel, and then we went and picked this up the next morning. And the guy that he bought it from bought it brand new in 2007 and had put like 15,000 miles on it. He didn't really drive it that much. And then ever since then, it's been my dad's car, and it was his daily driver for years. He just recently bought a new Subaru that's going to be his now daily driver, and then this has kind of become just more of a toy. But being a daily driven car for 10 years, having 154,000 miles on it, it still feels solid. The transmission feels great, the engine feels great, chassis feels great, the interior is clean and feels great. And on top of the interior, it looks good still. For being a 13-year-old car, the interior is still good. Now, I have seen what this car looks like with the heads-up display, and it doesn't look that good, personally. And I really like that this one does not have the heads-up display. I just think it looks better without having the heads-up display. Things like navigation and infotainment centers, they kind of date a car. And when you get a car like this that doesn't have things like that, it ages better. On top of it just aging well, you don't really have a bunch of gauges, a bunch of dials, a bunch of everything. It's pretty stripped down and pretty basic, which makes the driving experience a little bit more enjoyable. There's not as much to look at or focus on or anything. It's just you in the car, which is awesome. You do have one little gauge underneath, not really a gauge, it's a screen underneath your speedometer, and you can look at your MPH, your average, MPG, so on and so on. Nothing that you really need while you're actually moving. Other than that, it's just you in the car. And this is a very fun car for it to be just you in the car. Came up here the other day and I saw these signs for be prepared to stop road work. And there wasn't anything. There actually is stuff today. Just take it easy for these guys. Don't want to bug them. And I don't think that there's anything else. Alright, so we're coming to the peak of the hill right here. Let's keep on going. And I'm not saying where I'm at, but if any of you in the comments recognize this road and recognize where I'm going, let me know in the comments. This is a kind of a famous road for driving and bikes. I think it's a little bit more of a bike road, motorcycles, but it's just kind of a famous sports road in general. I'll give you a clue. There's a song about the end of this road, or what's at the end of the road, I should say. Anyways, back to the car. It's just, all in all, it's a great car. BMW really knocked it out of the park with this one. I mean, it's aged phenomenally, just how it looks even. A lot of 2007 cars haven't really aged great. I mean, the Mustang from that year looks like a 13-year-old Mustang. Not great. Miatas from then look like a 13-year-old Miata, and I'm a huge Miata fan, but at the same time, it's kind of like nothing great. I'm not even sure what else was around 2007. I think you had the GTO then. I think they were still making the GTO then, and that one actually looks decent, but it now starting to look older. They might have discontinued that a little bit before then, I forget exactly. But this car, for being as old as it is, still looks fresh, still looks exciting. The lines are just clean. It's not too aggressive, but it's not boring either. Something else to consider, 2007 Cayman was kind of like this' rival, for lack of a better term. The Cayman was a bit more money, Cayman is a bit lighter and has a bit more horsepower, if I remember correctly. And I've driven a 2007 Cayman. Actually, I think I drove a 2008. I don't think the specs are that different. And this is quicker. This handles better. This is cheaper on top of it. You can pick these up, like I said, for under 20,000. Even an 07, 08 Cayman, you're still going to be over 20. I think this looks better and has aged better and is more of a performance car. It handles better. It drives better. I think it's quicker personally. And it just feels so planted. Again, I'm not trying to push it too much, as this is not my car. And being that this is a car or a road that is known for people to go quick, you will find occasional ticket machines hiding off the side of the road. I'm not trying to get a ticket right now. I think that this car is personally, it's kind of a forgotten gem, but at the same time, it's kind of an unknown gem. There's not a whole lot of these. I think there's 18,000 worldwide, and it's hard to find the exact numbers on how many cars there are of this. I've looked in different areas trying to find, there is this amount, there's that amount, how many are the M spec, how many are the regular 3.0 CSI, how many are in America, how many are in Europe. It's really kind of confusing getting a solidified number, but generally speaking, I've been able to find that there's, I think, about 1,800 of the non-M here in North America, which really not a lot. That's a pretty rare car. I think there's about 18,000 worldwide, if I understand correctly. To put that in perspective, I think there's about 18,000, roughly 18,000 R34 Skylines, GTRs, which everybody knows how rare that car is. And I think there's roughly about the same amount of this. But for some reason, I don't know that many people that know about this car. When I drive it, I frequently get stopped and people ask, what is that? And they know it's a BMW. They know it looks like a Z4. Oh, it's a little bumpy right here. They know it's a BMW. They know it looks like a Z4, but it's a coupe. And it kind of throws them off a little bit. Or even if I tell somebody I'm driving a Z4 coupe, they're like, oh, you mean the hardtop, the retractable hardtop? No, the coupe. Like, what do you mean? I mean the coupe. It's not doesn't retract. It doesn't come back. And most people don't understand that until they see it. And once they see it, they're like, man, I've never seen this car before. So not only is it kind of a forgotten gem, it's kind of also a hidden gem. Not a lot of people even know about this car. The road's a little bumpy right here. Hopefully the footage isn't too shaky. So if you're thinking about picking up a car that is not that expensive, relatively affordable, looks great, has aged well, and something a little different than everybody else, I would definitely say a Z4 Coupe is a good option. I mean, I don't really know what else you can compare this with. For instance, if you want to buy a new Miata, which I drove one of those recently, and I personally think it's a phenomenal car. The new Miatas now, I think, start at $28,000 roughly, and if you wanted to get one of the retractable hardtops, it's RF, I think it's retractable fastback, if I remember correctly what the RF stands for. Those are going to be around $32,000 or $33,000, which isn't that bad, but I mean, I think this is better. 5.0 Mustang, you're going to be around $35,000. If you want to get a Cayman, Caymans are now around like $60,000. Go on the cheaper route, and if you get like 86 or BRZ or whatever, those are going to be around high 20s. I mean, it's just really hard to compare what you're getting for those prices with this. But everybody likes different cars, that's why there are so many different brands. I think that's about all I want to say for this. Don't want to ramble on too long. I already made it a decent length video, but I am going to be doing more of these. I'm also going to be doing some other things, not just kind of rundowns of cars. So if you like this, please like, subscribe, really will help me grow, and I am trying to make this a pretty active YouTube channel, and I hope this comes out as a cool first episode of what I have in store. Like I said, like, subscribe, and I will see you around.